The key topics are a quality water tank, giving the best value to the customers and the trust and faith of the customers on a plastic water storage tank. The journey is long ahead. There is a quite good of response from the industry, and we have got more than 30 queries from the industry, which is enlisted by ROMA team. And Setiji is going to present that one by one slide, and all the participants are requested to please come forward, give their opinions. Anyone who has got suggestion out of these 30 slides can definitely send a message which will be taken up during the session. So my most heartiest welcome to the suppliers, molders, resin suppliers, and the friends in the industry. And a happy Holi everyone at Roma. Setiji, over to you. Setiji, over to you. Let's start.
Yeah. Thank you, Mukesh Bhai, for the very short and sweet welcome speech. And now I'm delighted to welcome all our FGC board directors, our speakers, and the session panel channel members, and my dear Roma friends. It is definitely a very interactive session and a much needed interactive session which we are starting for the on the topic water tank today. So first of all, I would like to introduce the very short and sweet introduction of our interactive panel members who are present here to give your each and every questions and answer in this session. So first of all, I welcome Mr. Vishal Agarwal from RC Plasto Tanks and Pipe Private Limited. He is the managing director of Plasto Tanks and one of the leading company in India who are in the water tanks and other PVC pipes and things. And he is also the chairman of FGC board also. So I welcome Mr. Vishal Agarwal. Mr. LK Singh has not yet. Yeah, thank you. Now I will introduce Mr. LK Singh from Fix Up and Machine Private Limited. I think he is not joined. He has got some third inspection, so he may join in the later half of our session maybe. So I welcome him once he comes to the. I think Mr. Rajnish Gera is joined now. Okay, I'll welcome Mr. Rajnish Gera once he come and join the meeting.
Now, morning, everyone.
Yeah, good morning and welcome to the today's session of interactive session. I welcome Mr. Sushil Sanagra from Kaveri Plasto Containers Private Limited. They are the leading water tank company in South and under the brand name of Kaveri. He's our also vice president of Roma team. I welcome Mr. Sushilji.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Now I welcome Mr. Blaise Kostava from GMI Jharak Holders Private Limited. He is the managing director and they are the leading company of water tank and they are also in the automotive products and custom molding products and very highly technical person who understand the water tanks and other things. So I welcome Mr. Blaise Kostava on today's show.
Thank you, Mr. Sethi.
Now I would like to introduce Mr. Vipul Rathore and welcome him. He's also the well-known company of water tank in Bombay and that they are doing a lot of and almost last 25-30 years they are in the water tank business and doing their water tank in the brand of Simplex and he's our treasurer of Roma. Welcome Mr. Vipul Rathore.
Thank you, Sethi.
Thank you. Okay. And now Mr. Chetan Bansal, he from the Unitex Plastic Private Limited Delhi and he's also a leading manufacturer of water tank in Delhi. I welcome Mr. Chetan Bansal also on this today's show. On this occasion, I welcome Mr. Dr. Sunil Mahajan, Reliance Industries Limited. On our special request, they have come to attend this webinar. I welcome Mr. Dr. Mahajan today on this show.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. And I again welcome Mr. Manoj Patria from Reliance Industries Limited. He is also a special invitee, though it is a part of our Roma. So I welcome him on this occasion. Welcome, Mr. Manoj Patria.
Thank you, sir.
On this special occasion, we have got the special invitee called from the resin manufacturer. I welcome Mr. Manish Khandelwal from Gale India Limited. They also come for special show on our water tank. I welcome Mr. Manish Khandelwal also on this occasion. Whether he's
Joining.
join? Yeah.
Yeah, he's joining soon.
Okay. So we welcome him when he's come. On this show, we are again welcoming Mr. Vivek Mehta from ONG Petro Addition Limited. They are the leading this raw material manufacturers, and especially all our molders, and they will be very uh, interested to meet all our resin manufacturer on this occasion also, along with our questions and answer about technical question. People will be interested to meet our special unity also. Already welcome Mr. Mukesh B. Ambani. He's the managing director of Infra Industries Limited and the president of ROMA. We welcome Mukesh Bhai also. Mukesh Bhai is the very known person, and he's the in last 25-30 years he's involved in the water tank industry, and he's selling his tank in the under brand name of Infra. So we welcome Mukesh Bhai also on this show. I would like to ask, yeah, thank you, Mukesh Bhai. In our, I have seen Chandu Bhai is also there. We welcome Chandu Bhai from Kenya. He has joined this show today. So I want that he should also be present in our panel today. And it will be very interesting to see him on the panel and give the question and answer sessions. I request Chandu Bhai to join our panel today.
Thank you, Mr. Shetty. I'll be delighted to. If I may, I just want to say a couple of things. One is that in the rotomolding industry, there is so much of a lack of information, and that is leading to sometimes quality issues, sometimes issues that Mukesh outlined earlier about under capacity and so on. Many of these issues probably will need to be addressed, and one of the suggestions that I have as we go along, perhaps the panelists will also think about it, the participants will think about it, is we could, in the interest of raw material suppliers, machine suppliers, the molders, and the public at large, we should look at possibilities of creating a manual which will be a good, solid guide giving the right information on all aspects of rotomolding, including temperature, the material to be used, the when we talk about temperature, uniformity of temperature, how to ensure, and so on. So cooking, cooling, because Gary keeps on talking about conditions in many of the factories where there is undercooking or cooking at very slow heat, which results in degradation, similarly overcooling and so on. So lots of issues are there. In the larger interest of industry, I think the education part will probably play a significant role, because in my own experience, I found, talking to many of our friends all over the world, that most people are really not well informed, and manuals like this perhaps could be of very great use. Obviously, there are all kinds of books available by very well-known authors, but perhaps this is an area that can be looked into. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Shetty.
What you have done here, Chandubai, just for information, all the people who are here, that Sethi has outlined all the 30 or 40 queries received by the industry people, and all one by one is going to be put by slide, and that's where the interactive will start. Thanks for the input.
Right. Agree. Thank you.
Sethi.
The subject for all our Indian roto molders. So we will start the show now. So the we have got in last 1 month we have worked on this subject, and from all over the India we have got lot of questions and answer from lot of this water tank manufacturers, and one by one we'll start the question answers. The very first question which we have received from the market, that is the how global rotomolding tank market will be performing. So I want one of our panelists who can brief about this question.
Sitting, I would request all the members who are participating to come on the video side. So, we can know with whom we are talking would be much better in this interactive session rather than only the audio. So all the members who are there, please come switch on your video. So it looks like more of an interactive session.
But then I tell panelists to be in the video, no, basically. The question answer is directly recorded questions now. Only let panelists, or let's, I know, if you want to all the, let everyone to come on the video.
Hello. Hello.
दिखता नहीं है. Is everyone is on the camera now?
No, only the panelists. It's okay. You just put the unmute button, and those who want
Yeah,
to participate in camera, they can.
Let's start with the panel. Let panelists to be on the camera, and whoever give the question, they will be highlighted basically. So very first question which is there, that the how global rotomolding tank market performing. So I request Mr. Vishal Agarwal to give on your brief answer on this one.
Sriti, according to me, the market is growing maybe 20-25%. The growth is significant.
Yeah.
In rotomolding as well as tank business, both.
Achha. So this, achha, so that basically the rotomolding tank business is growing in 20-25%.
Yes, we are not getting machines in India. It's taking too long time to, machine manufacturers are taking too long time to supply machines. They are full with demand.
So Vishal bhai, what do you think about blow molding or roto molding, or both are equally growing?
Both are growing significantly, simultaneously, we can say.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's Indian scenario or global scenario which we are talking, like Korea or Brazil or Africa? I think Chandu bhai would be better to speak on Africa, but
Nobody can tell us because we supply only in India.
I know that.
And India market is growing. That's what I know.
I think markets everywhere are growing because water will become a more critical issue everywhere, and we are merely scratching the surface at the moment. When you think in terms of rainwater harvesting, little if anything is being done anywhere in the world. So when that market opens up, the market will be, endless. So I believe that for the foreseeable future, there is a huge opportunity for growth throughout the world.
Chandu bhai, Africa is blow molding or roto molding? What's your input on that?
Both. We do blow up to 3,000 liters in Kenya, and we do up to 24,000 liters from 500, essentially 250, 500 onwards. So the markets are growing everywhere in Africa, and will keep on growing because it's only really we are only at the beginning stage, despite having been around for some 30 odd years in Kenya, 25 years in Uganda, and almost 15 years in other places.
So Strategy, before we go to the next slide, I think the roto molding is doing pretty well from the inputs what we have from the speakers on the global front, whatever input we have received so far.
So, hello, I'm Rajneesh Gera. So my view is the India will grow much faster. Demand in India will grow much faster. And if you see the next 5 to 7 years, the growth will be tremendous, because as if you see the government initiatives as well, we Har Ghar Jal Yojana, or every state government or central government putting up a projects where a water availability for all the houses in the rural areas, in the remote area, is a vision the government has taken. And the growth, as rightly said, rainwater harvesting, maybe in septic tanks and water disposal system, there will be a tremendous growth in India, particularly for the water storage.
Rajneesh bhai, since Syntex, you are the leaders or Plasto leaders, what do you think about this nestable tank concept to ease out the transportation cost? Do you think, I think in Africa, Chandu also knows that there is this nestable tank concept. Still, I have not seen much in India. Any work done by any roto molder on nestable tank to save the transportation?
Yes, Malloy, this nestable tank will be the need, will definitely come up in India as well, because the transportation cost is as a big factor in water tanks transportation. So nestable tank may be the need of the hour, and may definitely companies who are developing new products may go for it. And as my personal view is, the trend is being reversing again towards the roto molding, and roto molding, it will be very difficult to beat roto molding, and roto molding tank will be much sought after.
So coming back to this nestable tank thing, do you think weight-wise nestable tank will be the same or little more to keep that tank in check or proper shape while transportation and in use? So the again, polymer is today a question mark for the price which is selling. So a 1,000-liter tank, say about 22 or 24 kilogram, which is a compact, and if you have got nestable, will the weight be the same or will be a little more?
No, I think same. It will be same in the same range. I don't find that the weight has to be increased for that nestable options.
If any supplier is
I think,
sorry,
if I may add, Mukesh,
Yes.
if I may add, I think in
Yes.
the case of nestable, there will definitely be need for little additional weight. Otherwise, you will have flip-flop situation.
that's
So
what
yes,
my
better design and
Yeah.
a little more weight.
Good.
yeah. Any
So
supplier who is
basically,
making molds, who's made molds for nestable tanks, mold makers.
Mukesh bhai, we will go one by one questions. Basically, there are 30 questions. So then we can join the thing. This is just a question of the global roto molding tanks market performing. So we will emphasize on that question. Then next question is things. So one by one we can get the answer basically.
Okay.
That will be better. Yeah. Then in the last session we can have the open session where we can ask our
Let's
discussion. Yeah. So the next question, it has come from one of the leading manufacturer in water tank. That is how Indian roto molding tank market performing, market size, growth year on year. So basically, this is the tank that what is the market performing. That already Vishal bhai is already informed that the Indian market is growing very fast. Now, what is the market size and the growth in coming years? So I request one of the panelists or the other panelists, they can give emphasis on this question.
Manoj bhai, you as a resin supplier, any?
Yeah, Indian market size in terms of roto molding, in terms of volume consumed by polymer market size is more than 2 lakh ton, and this is a virgin market, and almost 80 kTA is a reprocessed market. So put together, it is a 280 kTA market of um, water tank only. Other than 280 kTA, there is a 30% addition of non-tank market also. So this market is very firm, and this is growth was showing by polymer companies are 10% in water tank and 15% in non-tank market. This is the Indian scenario of and market size.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. So what are
So
the
roughly, if you calculate, it will be. I think in 2018 we did a study, which at that time we estimated around 6,000 crore of water tank market, and definitely growth 10 to 12% CAGR can be applied on that.
That's a very good growth actually for Indian market. So now in the next question has come that in this tank business, now what is the market share to the horizontal and vertical water tanks basically now? The next question has come on that one. So I think Rajnishi will be able to give.
So currently, if you see, it's state-wise, a little variation is there. Certain states where horizontal tanks are good in demand, particularly Kerala or that side, and so it still now market is more towards vertical water tanks, and certain states are moving towards the horizontal tanks side.
What are the challenges, Rajneesh bhai, you think you are facing in this horizontal tank marketing and installation?
I don't think there's a challenge. Only thing is for different design has to be applied for horizontal tanks or underground tanks. I don't find any challenges. Only thing market demand not enough for the tank, and that is limited to the area.
Can I add to that question? And can I answer that question?
Second, just a minute. Now, if you see the horizontal tank, particularly SMC, not polymer PT tank. SMC tanks are also gaining much more importance, and we supply a lot of horizontal tanks and basically extendable tanks, and that demand is coming up very well in last 1 year. Yeah.
But how do you compare the cost, Rajneesh bhai, of this vertical tank vis-a-vis horizontal and SMC, as you're making all the three?
It is little costlier than maybe say 10 to 15% costlier than our normal LLDP tanks, but definitely much cheaper than the RCC tanks. And the other is the flexibility in size gives much more advantageous position for SMC PT tanks.
Okay. Rafiji, your input.
Yes, horizontal tanks are expensive because the weight per liter increases. The reason why Kerala market is going for these horizontal tanks are because most of the houses here are bungalow types. They don't want these vertical tanks to stand out of the total elevation of the house. That is the reason why the Kerala market is growing more towards horizontal tank. Thank you.
Coming on this, have any one of you seen an injection molded 5,000 liter tank horizontal, and it is like inserted for transportation? It saves 80% transportation cost. It's made in Germany, and it's a fully injection molded tank of 5,000 liters horizontal tank. The only the challenge is the sealing the tank in between at the site. And this kind of concepts, I think, should come into India where transport is taken care of.
Yeah. Okay.
Hi, Mukesh. Morning. The price is about 5 times of a rotomolded tank.
Oh wow!
It's made by Graf. It's made by Graf in Germany. GRAF.
Yeah. Made by Graf. Yeah.
And I
But
think
then,
for
but then the
installation also
the
the dedicated
options of
team has to
materials
come and do
available.
the needful to so that there is no leak proof. There is a leak proof arrangement.
There's a gasket, there is a welding, and there are screws all are together. And the thickness is much higher.
That's true.
It can be used above
Yeah,
ground and
technology is required.
But you
Mukesh
can
bhai,
bring down on the material. Haji, Vishal.
yeah, what we have experienced that for horizontal tanks, the customers have a perception that there will be significant pressure drop. So we have launched the Easy Clean series, but demand is very less because most of the customers think that uh, there will be a pressure drop because of less height.
May I
Okay.
add, Mukesh?
Yes. Yeah, please.
I think, if you go back to the days of the metal tanks, it was very easy to weld a rectangular tank. It was easy to form and make a metal tank that was rectangular. So people have this in their mindset that we need a rectangular tank. Then that perception was perhaps aided by the use of these tanks in many of the apartments, because the apartments are small. People used to put them in the bathrooms where they had a little bit of a loft. So this idea caught on. But as other speakers have said, it takes more weight. It probably will hold less water if you are counting up to the lead because of the ball valve, and you're paying far more for a tank which you probably do not need. Vertical tank in most cases will do, and it'll do the job at far less cost. So in many cases, in my own experience in the early days, we used to persuade architects and engineers who are making the specifications to avoid rectangular loft tanks and use vertical unless there was a definitive need. So it's a question of trying to, get people to understand where there is no need, why have it, why pay more. For example, in Ethiopia, they were all set on these rectangular tanks. So it was quite an effort on our part to persuade people to go for verticals. Next.
So next question, that is from one of the leading this water tank manufacturer. He has asked the question: the instruction guide for the large, more than 10,000 liter tank drilling is good or bad, and how it is possible or not? I think Sushil bhai, he can give on answer on this question.
Hello, everybody. See, coming to the installation guidelines, drilling with the proper hole saw cutter or the tool is mandatory, and hot tapping is actually not preferred for the large tanks because the pressure of the water and also the installations and the fixtures has to be properly fitted to it. Otherwise, in no time the product will fail, which is technically and practically also not recommended to any of them. And there are a lot of other points which has to be considered for installation of a larger tank. Frankly speaking, it is above 5,000 liters.
Okay, good. Yeah.
If I can add to this, what usually is done that you put tires where the tanks are being unloaded or the soft space, because when you put the tank down from the truck, ensure that such a heavy weight does not fall on the shoulder. And the installation, what Sushil bhai told is absolutely right, that drilling is the right way. hot tap will create fissures in the tank and which will become a kind of a crack in time to come. So definitely hot tap should not be in any of the tank, rather I would say drilling is the best option.
Okay. So that will increase the strength of the tank basically.
And
It is
another
not
thing,
The durability
I would
rather.
add to that a proper surface, the bottom surface with a good concrete or a hard surface for the tank, which should be flat without any curvatures, which will give a very long life to the, especially the larger tanks.
good. Okay. So I think the flat surface is always better where you can drill and put the your
Surface is
fitting.
also the
Yeah.
years should be given to the larger tank because lot places now they're lifting the tank by the crane. So there's the years given, the crane can do the job and there's very less involvement of human being into such large tanks. And it is absolutely stress-free installation if you have got roto-molded years given to these larger tanks above 5,000 liters.
Good, good. Yeah. So that's thing. Thank you, Sushilji and Mukesh Bhai. And the next question that which we have got now, that what is the benefit of layer 1, layer 2, and 3 layer tank size up to 500 liters layer analysis? I think Mr. Blaze, he will give the emphasis on this question.
Morning. Yeah, I think this is something that we need to look at because these layers, they don't add any value. In fact, they, according to me, they are actually detracting what rotomolding should be. Because I got a call from a supplier telling me that he's offering me middle layer material at 60 rupees a kg. So if it is middle layer material at 60 rupees a kg, when scrap from rotomolding is sold at maybe 48 or something, you can understand what kind of material they're putting in there. So either as Mr. Shah was saying, that people are not aware or they don't know that any junk which is not rotomolding grade must be put into this and it is being supplied. Now, one is the quality of the tank in terms of the strength. Two is the health issues. That means since there is a migration, then whatever is in that earlier plastic is going to come into this water that will be stored in the tank. It's not that the inner layer insulates it from the middle layer. So, and you only talk about 3 layers here. Now they've gone up to 5 layers. So, unfortunately, water tank customers are not like educated customers, or so they think 5 layers is better than a 1 layer tank or a 2 layer tank, or so they think 5 is better, and they don't know that they're actually getting fooled unless there's an insulation. Now 3 layers with middle layers insulation makes sense, but 3 layers with no insulation absolutely does not make sense, and that is actually hurting the industry because these tanks are not going to last. They are unhealthy. So as a community, we should be pushing for making better products, not making cheaper products which damage the tank. One of the reasons we have got a foothold is because blow molding tanks started cracking. Okay, but they continue to sell because anyway they've invested. So it gave us a thing. Now, if they've also started improving their tanks, we must also do something better now, because otherwise people say anyway rotomolding is a faulty product or it cracks, so we can get another tank that cracks in that kind of time. Rotomolding tanks should last if they are properly made. Why 5 years? They can last 10 and 15 years. Plastic is going nowhere. So we should be focusing on this, and we will be telling all the members and all to not do things like this. The guy making 60 rupee material, he's fine. He's making his money and he's moving on. But the reputation is with the rotomolder. So I think we should reconsider this seriously about how many layers. It's not a packet of chips or something like that. We don't need actually more than 1 layer, but the second layer can be for a thing. Third layer is 3 layers if it is insulated is fine. This is my opinion, and I think that we are hurting our industry by getting into these multi-layers, especially with rubbish material in the middle. Thank you.
May I add, Mr. Shetty?
Yeah, definitely.
I have always believed that the tank should be made of 1 layer, you know, the reason is very simple. The moment you go into second, third, fourth, fifth, and I'm told now people are going up to 7 and 8 layers. This is all hogwash. Every time you lay second layer and third layer and so on, you are stopping the process for a while. You know, it has all kinds of other disadvantages, and you elongate the cycles, all the disadvantages with no advantage that has been proven for any of these additional layers. Even when it comes to insulation, insulation is fine where insulation is needed. So if you're looking at making cooler boxes, fish tubs, where insulation is required, maybe, you know, the PE forming process can be used, but then that is a special requirement, and so it's a special purpose application. But in the case of tanks, ideally single layer, all ideally black is the best, because it will give the utmost protection. In our case, we have no hesitation in telling the market, and we say it in all our literature, that we give you 30 years expected lifespan. That is built into it, and we have done that with the backing of the raw material suppliers. In the initial years, it was DuPont, and then Enimont, and then Borealis, and now, of course, we have many more from Middle East and India. So all of that based on what you can show and satisfy the customers, yes, that the statements that you're making are founded, well-founded. I'm sure most of the panelists and many of the participants are aware of the various books that are available on the subject by Professor Crawford and many others that he taught at Queen's University, and who have come up and who are normally present at all of our various seminars. They have written authoritative books on the subject of what is required in order to give that expected lifespan. Of course, I can't guarantee that the tank will not be destroyed if you go and hit with a truck. But, or as Mukesh was saying, if you drop it from a height and it falls on a corner, right, then the crack initiation will begin, even if you don't see it. So, but that apart, we are talking about the layers. In our group, we are very clear that ideally we should be encouraging only single layer. It's faster, better, higher performance tank. Thank you. Thank you.
I would like to really to all the rotomolders that when we are supplying a tank, especially put out of the quality of the resin, I fully agree. Because when you're making a tank, it's a social responsibility along. This tank is supplied to any religious institute, hospitals, or hotels, or restaurants, and the quality of material which you're supplying going to affect definitely the quality of the water which people are going to consume, being a potable water. So we need to understand what kind of resins we are going to put inside our tank and supplying to the customers who have got trust and faith in a plastic tank as on today. And we to keep that faith alive, we as molders should definitely ensure that the quality of resin put into the tank is of a food grade, and if a recycled, you need to check your quality before molding it and supplying to the industry at large. Over to you, Shetty.
Yeah, I request.
Just want to add something. I fully endorse this view, and as for me, one layer tank started with black. Definitely, layer more than one may not be required, but slowly and gradually, market moved from black to white, and then a requirement came from inner lighter color. So according to me, beyond 2 or 3 layer, there is no significance of any layer. Since market has moved from black to white, so 2 layer becomes mandatory now, because to give a opacity as well as the UV protections. So if you are going for a black color tank, single layer might be the best solution. But two layer beyond 3 layer, I don't find any significance of these layers.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
May I
sure,
add, Mukesh, may I add one single point? I
please.
would like to ask each of you, the participants and the panelists, how many of you in your entire life, after installing your tank, have looked inside to see, hey, what is the level, what is the kind of water? So this, giving white inside or a light blue color and so on, all is, again, and I say it purposely, is all hogwash. I don't mean to disrespect the participants, but I say it is not necessary, and black gives you the best protection. That's the reason why we advocate that, black is best. Right?
Mr. Shah, one reason we use white is because the quality of water coming into the tanks is very muddy. So with white, you can see and get your tank cleaned. In a full black tank, you cannot make out what is inside the tank. So that's why people prefer the white layer. Of course, what you're saying bluish is because people are using Robin blue, which is not food grade. That is also another problem. That's why you have a bluish tinge, because it's like a Robin blue kind of a material and not titanium dioxide, which is food grade. But let's say in Goa, everybody looks into their water tank because there's mud flowing in the thing and it settles. There are leaves that come in. So every 6 months or a year, you have to clean your tanks, and that helps.
Yeah,
I think perhaps the problem can be solved by using a device where the water is entering the tank, so it removes this before the water enters. I mean, it's like if you are going to do rainwater harvesting, you will have to have these devices before the rainwater enters the tank. So something like that perhaps may be a solution.
Possible.
Just a thought.
Pre-filter. Maybe there's a possibility of making a pre-filter.
Yeah, definitely. The people are now more sensitive, and health and hygiene are coming into picture, and people are now aware to get a clean water. But many of the places now, if you see the shifting of the trend from black to the other colors, particularly white. Definitely, when the black color was there, one layer was sufficient, but now the people have slowly, taste of the people or choice of the people has migrated or shifting from black to white. Technically, you're right that black is the best suited and giving protection, but slowly the demand on the market is changing towards the white.
So I agree, that you can have all different colors are available now. The only thing is that the cost of the material is a little bit higher, because the people like Matrix, for example, are offering high grade material, which will give you the longer expected lifespan, which will match, if not 30 years, at least 20 years, right? So essentially what we are looking at is, how can we give maximum value for the customer, to the customer, just then. So in that sense, yes, obviously the color tanks are very much a part of the game today.
Correct, yeah.
I think, is there any compounder on the session? I don't know, because I've been talking to compounders, and they're telling that they're ready to offer you a single layered material with the right opacity, not allowing the oxidation of water in the tank and not allowing algae formation. Basically, the whole concept of black is not to allow algae formation in the tank. There's no other reason. So if there's enough opacity available with a single layer, that should be the best solution for rotomolders across the country to stop this double, triple, and 4-layer tanks coming to the market. And I'm sure definitely there is a solution available to this.
Anyone else, panelists, who want to give the emphasis on the question? I think Vipul Bhai, you can give on. This is also your favorite question, so you can give the answer on this one.
सर मैं क्या बोलूं, एक्चुअल में क्या है कि आज की तारीख में पहले जो आपका सिस्टम था वर्टिकल टैंक के अंदर ब्लैक लेयर, जो सिंगल लेयर की टैंक्स आती थी, बट अभी सिनेरियो चेंज हो गया है। एवरीबडी पीपल थिंक्स कि भाई अगर मैं लाखों रुपया खर्चा करता हूँ मेरे हाउस के अंदर, आई वुड रिक्वायर टू चेंज द टैंक इनटू कलर और समथिंग लाइक जैसे कर्नाटका वैसे जो एरिया है वहां पे पीपल वास्तु को बहुत बिलीव करता है, तो वहां पे वो घर के ऊपर काला कलर का टैंक लगाने को प्रेफर नहीं करता है। ही प्रेफर्स टू पुट द येलो टैंक। सो इफ यू सी द साउथ मार्केट और द कर्नाटका मार्केट स्पेशली, so there the people use only yellow tank, and if you see the percentage of double layer tank in the black color, that would be very less amount. So day by day people are changing and the market is changing. What Chandubai is telling, I am not opposing to him, but the to make the people understand into and change the market from color tanks to the black tank, it is not possible, sir. The color tank is also good. I'm not telling that black tank is good or color tank is good, but to change the conception of the market right now, what the market says, we have to make that product. Like Syntex was making only single layer tanks till maybe around 5 years ago, but as the market changed, he has to change, and they have also come into the color tanks. So that is the reason we have to change according to the market. See, the point is very good. I'm not telling that the point is bad, but अपने को काम मार्केट के हिसाब से करना पड़ेगा. Thank you.
But in any
I agree. I agree. I would like to just add that in the whole of Middle East, for example, you have the tanks, the outside is white and inside they use black. But the material that they use is giving you opacity and long life. So the right material, if it is used, you can make it of color that will be color fast and give you long life. So the alternatives are available. A lot of material development has taken place. So yes, you can give the choices, but with the right material. That's the point. Thank you.
I fully agree to your point. That's why I said layers beyond 3 layer doesn't make any significance. 3 layer I have added only because in India people are not liking black inside. We have done a lot of studies and lot of surveys, and people, that's why middle layer black and outer layer white. So we sell maximum of single layer, double layer or triple layer only. Syntex has never gone beyond layers. That is the only reason that we are not adding layer. And from last
any experience with single layer white tank with good opacity, so no need to do 3 layer. Your processing is faster.
I have tried.
India में वो possible नहीं है, sir. Single layer की tank.
I have tried high opacity master batches to the best possible which we could develop, but we could not get opacity with single layer.
So
if any compounder can offer high opacity master batch which can be used a single layer, I'll be will welcome that idea.
Industry should, I think yes, industry should emphasize with these compounders to develop a single layer tank compound which will have the opacity in the colors, which should, help the industry at large and the molders to have a single shot product outside meeting our requirements of opacity.
Yeah, definitely. But definitely at this point of time, we last 6 months have done a lot of efforts to develop this. But till now, a single layer in white, I could not get that master batch quality.
We are in touch with Venkat and Mr. Paul Nugent if they can come up with a compound for water tank industry with a single layer would be the best thing that can be, or matrix or any compounder who is ready. The industry should support such initiative.
Can I add a word here?
Yeah,
compounds are readily available. They're already in the market. The whole of Australia, New Zealand, Europe, use only single layer products. Australia has a higher UV rating than India, and the tanks are very successful. And they're available in colors also, like green, red, maroon, white, sandstone, whatever you want. And they're all single layer tanks and they're 100% opaque. Compounds are mainly available from Matrix. They're also available from Polymer Link. They're already existing in the market. As many as you want. There's nothing to develop. It's ready.
Sir, I need to ask you one thing. What about cost? उसमें फिर आखिर में cost किधर जाएगा? What would be the cost of that material?
आपके घर पे जो बनाते हो उससे 10% भी ज्यादा नहीं आएगा. It will be almost the same.
Okay.
People, you have to understand, using a single layer. So if you're using a double layer and a single layer, the weight is much lesser. Your fuel cost is much lesser. Your labor cost is much lesser. Everything is lesser. And definitely, if there's a change, even there's an increase of 4, 5, 7% in the input, but look at the long term, the effect of it. It's much better to have a single skin tank, the best quality tank. I think that would think. Dhanubhai, any idea about material available in India? If any rotomolder could, process that material and display it.
You can buy it from Matrix X stock as much as you want. You can buy it from Polymer Link also, I think now, but Matrix you can buy as much as you want. I'm sure of that.
Fantastic. I think we should, Rajesh Bhai and Vishal Bhai and all the people over here, I think we should support this initiative.
I will give you that material, a 20,000 liter tank is not even 300 kilos.
Wow.
We'll definitely look into the cost and we'll talk the metrics and we'll work out if it's
all
possible.
It's all exine material. It's single shot, fast processing. It's I think one of the best solutions if you all can sell it in the market, which you can easily. This concept of putting black in the middle originally came from fiberglass tanks, because fiberglass is not opaque. So you had to put a black layer in between so that it became opaque. From that, when you migrated to polyethylene, they followed the same concept in marketing. And then now the market demands all this whatever multi-layer, 4-layer, 5-layer is basically their gimmicks, but that's what sells. So you have to do it. But I'm sure if you come out with the correct shades of single-layer tank, they are beautiful. Believe me, we on loads of all our machines in Australia produce single-layer products, and they're all very good. And
may I add that these are colored tanks. May I add?
Go ahead.
May I add, Danu, that these have been there, colored tanks, for a very long time in the West, in Europe, and as Danu says, in Australia, South Africa, New Zealand, is nothing new. And once again, I bring out that perhaps we need to find a way of educating the industry at large about a lot of misconceptions which exist, which need to be removed.
Correct, Chandubhai. It is like saying, I want a Cadbury chocolate. It may be any chocolate. It's same way, Syntex has been the leader and the brand name for tanks. In India, people today recognize other brands. Otherwise, 10 years ago, all you went and asked for is a Syntex tank though. And it would have been any other brand. It could be a Syntex tank.
It was like Henry Ford. Saying you want a car, you will have every color, so long as it is black.
Whatever Syntex
Dhanubhai, one question on your what is the thickness of the tank that
13,000 liter tank, we just removed last week. 13,000 liter tank, it was 4 to 6 millimeter, that's it.
No, I'm talking about the common size in India, 500,000, 2,000, where, which is the highest selling tank in India.
1,000 liter tank is 4 millimeters maximum.
Okay. And then that you get with a single layer.
You can get away with 3 mm also. But the problem is the Indian customer will go and push. ये तो दबता है और ये नहीं दबता है. So then you put a little foam there in between. Then you have to cover it from the inside. Things are like that. So to answer, while I'm here for a short time only. To answer your going back to your nestable tank and that, Fortlev FORT-LEV is the leader of nestable tanks almost in the world, and the largest producer, maybe just after Syntex in the world. 125 tons per day is their processing. Okay.
Which is that company, Dhanubai? Sorry, I missed that.
FORT-LEV, Fortlev in Brazil. They are producing on our machines also open top tanks, nestable. And those weight of a 1,000-liter tank is not even 20 kilos on a nestable tank.
Wow.
Where the lid is separately, it is just clipped on.
I think this
and
is
the lid
the
and
mold.
tank is produced together. Lid and tank is produced together, and then it is cut manually.
Wow. Wow. This is where the mold maker should come forward and, make the molds which are suitable for the nestable tank.
It has nothing to do with the mold maker. It's the customer and his marketing. The mold maker will make whatever you design you give him. What is his problem?
Yeah, and the nutshell, ultimately we need to educate the customers. The likewise, we are the company who has first mass circulation myth versus truth, and we clearly we have not entered into this layer game, and we have started educating the people that let's not fall into the layer increasing methods, and we are continuously circulating on all the social medias myth versus truth. So like Dhanubai said, ultimately we need to educate the market as well as the customers to accept this as a technical fact.
But today now the way of marketing is no more colors or this and that. The way of marketing is antibacterial, antiviral, anti-COVID. Say what you like. that is how you market.
Shetty
Has to be.
Sorry to interrupt
Yeah.
you, Rajneesh. Sorry, you can go ahead.
So definitely, the corona has come in last year. If you see from our brand positioning from last 3 years, we have to move to health and hygiene. Ultimately, getting a clean water is the priority. So clean and hygiene, basically we need to focus on health and hygiene, which is the need, which is more I will think, I'll say that now it is become the necessity. Earlier it was people was thinking as a luxury, or some premium customer was taking this call, but now all the customer is focused toward this hygiene factor. So using a right material, using antibacterial or antimicrobial, that is the, I think will be the common thing now.
Especially after the corona, people are much more.
Can you welcome
Haji,
Mr.
yeah.
Vivek Mehta and Mr. Manish Khandelwal ji? They both come in this webinar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Correct. Okay. So now, sorry to interruption. Now that this is quite a very interesting question, and lot of panelists have given their views about the single layer, 3 layer, and 2 layers. And as far as technicality is concerned, I think Chandubai said that 1 layer or 2 layer tanks are more than sufficient. Rajnishi also has the same emphasis on the same thing, 1 or 2 layer. But most of the people, because the market trade is like that, and it's a marketing game, not on the tech. It is not on the technical side. It is purely on marketing by increasing the layer 1 or 2 or 3 layers, and people are increasing. So as far as let industry to accept that whether they should again go to the single layer or 2 layer tanks, and definitely, and as Mr. Dhanu Patel has already done in the other countries, they are using the single layer tank with the heavy UV doses. So I think we should also work on that subject. And definitely, it's quite an interesting question, and a lot of people, they have given their views on this thing. So again, it can be discussed in the future also about this thing. Now, meanwhile, I would like to welcome our special invitee from the resin supplier, Mr. Manish Khandelwal. He has just recently joined from the GAIL India Limited. Welcome, Mr. Manish Khandelwal, to this show. I also welcome Mr. Vivek Mehta, ONG Petro Edition Limited, to this show. Welcome to this show, and you can join as a special invitee in this show. Welcome to all.
Manishji and Vivekji, please open your video cameras.
Siddhi, can we go ahead on next question, please?
Yeah. So next question, which we have come from the market, the one of the industry, that can we introduce only BIS certified water tanks in India in open market and institutional sales? So this is a very interesting question. So a lot of the small manufacturers and people are there who are not giving the quality tanks in Indian markets. So being in the ROMA and all the leading manufacturers in India, they can give suggestions on this subject. So if it is the BIS certified tanks are there, we can maintain our quality and things. So this is the open question for all the panelists now. I request first Sushil ji to give. Yeah, I request Sushil ji to give first. Yeah.
Okay. Sushil ji, your.
Yeah.
Oh, hello everyone. Here I would like to just say that the BIS standards as of date are to be redefined as per the market.
Because what the payments?
Sorry? Hello?
Yes, Sushil, go ahead.
Please.
Sushil, go ahead.
Continue.
Okay. The one of the reason is at the time when the BIS standards were made, that time there were a lot of limitations what we had. The limitations were in terms of the design of the product, in the terms of the material availability, the processing parameters, the controls were very less. So accordingly, we will need to first redefine it based on the latest technologies, which have been grown to a very good extent. And nowadays, so it is like you also have machines which are completely automatic. So we have to take some particular reference, and accordingly preferred is first we redefine the standards and then come with a product which is durable for at least 15 to 20 years. This is my say, and with a better technical requirements in the product. So it will be easy for all the manufacturers to roll into that standards and get into the market with the BIS standard water tank on a very general perspective for everyone, which will be much more affordable to the customers.
I think Mukesh bhai wanted to talk about this subject.
Yeah. I would like input from Rajneesh bhai in this, because BIS, they are the people, Syntax, who really drafted the BIS long back, and I was along with Mr. Dangaish on the committee of BIS for water tank for many years. The BIS certification is an expensive process. City, you have to understand that. BIS is an expensive process. It costs a humongous bomb to set up an entire laboratory. So if you talk about a small rotomolders making up to 2,000 liter, it's expensive for them. We as association, we should go to the BIS and tell them that let the compounders also be a certified BIS material supplier. So the 80% or 90% of the laboratory cost is basically up to making the powder. After that, the processing and post molding, the cost is very less of the equipment required for BIS testing. If that is done, then yes, most of the molders would definitely come forward for BIS certification. Because the laboratory and entire certification costs 10 lakh rupees, which most of the molders are not going to come forward for it. So then the first thing BIS association should do, step A, is to request BIS to allow compounders also to be a BIS certified compound suppliers. and B is the rotomolders, and some don't want an entire set with them. That's also fine with them. Second is, can we go ahead with A class and B class, which Sushilji was talking in the morning, of tank in BIS itself, like it is there in GI pipe, A class, B class, C class. So A class and B class, depending upon the requirement of the client, a tank required in Kashmir or in that kind of environment is different than the tank required in Mumbai city or Ahmedabad. So can we have two kind of tank in BIS certified, A class and B class, which would bring down the cost of the tank rather than a single, weight tank in BIS. These two are the, I think, so most challenging factors in BIS if you want to go entire tank industry go into BIS.
I want to add here. So if you see, the BIS standard now requires a major overhaul, and right now BIS also working on that, because if you see the overall the tank weight, the design has improved drastically, polymer resins has improved drastically, and we could able to make a very good quality tank in 22 kg or 24 kg max, whereas the BIS standard still working on the old set pattern. They only measure weight and thickness. They have not defined any other technical parameter where the tank has to sustain. So definitely we can go for the BIS certified tanks once this standard gets overhauled, because right now the technology has changed, molding itself, resins itself has changed, and we could able to produce a good quality tank in much lower weight. Now if you see that there's a difference of almost more than 20% to 30% weight specification is there in BIS. So at this juncture, till we propose to BIS and get the rightful standard specification meeting all the requirements, I think at this point it will be very difficult proposition till we get this standard overhauled.
No, in this process, the ROMA definitely will help to all the rotomolders in India. So definitely we'll work on because as far as the design, the raw material, a lot of things are changed in the last 20-25 years. BIS standards are not changed. So definitely our team will work on this subject, and we can push this matter to the government and BIS definitely, and it will be definitely helpful to all the Indian rotomolders.
Or people on the water tank front, can we go for A class, B class of BIS standard like the GI pipe? Because we cannot visit every now and again BIS for the standard. So when we go, can we go with two sets of proposal of A class and B class depending upon the requirement of the end customer?
Mukesh, may I come in?
Yeah, sure.
There is first of all, there is the basic misconception. When the BIS standards were drafted, as other speakers have brought out, but I would like to emphasize this point, that there is no relationship to the weight. A tank is supposed to perform in a particular way, and there are standards that are laid down. And Gary has talked about this earlier. The materials choices that are available enable you to mold a tank that will pass all of the required tests with far less weight than some other materials. So it should really be, the standard should only be speaking in terms of meeting these particular kind of qualifications. Now, in this particular aspect, I had suggested earlier, I would like to suggest again, that when making representations, please take assistance of someone like Gary, maybe somebody like some people from Australia, from the Australian organization, and they will be able to guide. In countries like Kenya, we have no option. We cannot opt out. We have to abide by the standards. In our standards, there is no requirement as to weight. We were involved in framing them, and that probably goes back to maybe about 7 years or 28 years. But overall, it is important that standards are there. It is important that everybody follows the standards. And having this A, B, and C, I think, in my view, this is perhaps not the answer. The answer would be to have the parameters defined that are really relevant. And so long as those parameters are met using particular types of materials, fine. If they don't meet, they will add a little more weight. This is my view. Thank you.
Definitely. Now we recall the members' suggestion about that whether we should go for the certified BIS tank in Indian market. So their opinions you can forward your opinions to our email address or Manoj bhai. So definitely we can come on this one definitely. On this.
Yeah.
I would
like
to. The next question.
PVC pipes.
Yeah, sure.
Strategy, PVC pipes all are as per BIS. You cannot sell a non-BIS PVC pipe if I'm not wrong. Vishalji can speak on this. He's into pipe and tank both. If I'm right,
Correct, yeah.
I think.
No, you can sell, Mukesh. There is no restriction from the government. You can sell non-ISI pipes also.
Actually, you can sell a non-BIS pipe also.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
But
open for them.
What we said ABC class, because of different class of pressure we have, acceptability of PVC pipes or any other pipe with BIS certificate is more, because we have a choice. Like in rotomolding, if you're making a tank for 12 kg, 500 liter, but for ISI it has to be 18 kg. So 1.5 times price is not accepted by a commercial market.
That's true.
Yeah. The next question.
One more thing, Seti, before we switch over, all the tank people are here. The shape of the tank, basically for BIS or whatever, that square, that 4 shoulders which are putting, if you go for bigger tanks, it is taking so much of the weight. If it is curvature or things, I think we can reduce the weight dramatically, especially in the bigger size tank, which is no performance of that shoulders hanging over there.
Correct. Yeah. So now the lot of new designs and things are there, but it's not necessary that we should have the follow the old design. New designs, new materials, part in new technologies are there. So definitely we can incorporate that when changing the draft in BIS. So we want. I think Mr. Blaze is there. He can give a suggestion on this subject.
Yeah, my point is that again, it's already mentioned. Yeah. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, so it's already mentioned that standards or BIS standards are outdated, and what we need to do is make standards where you have to test a tank to meet certain requirements, and then the molders have to use the required material. So you say, okay, it doesn't bulge, the top load, it takes a top load of so much weight, whatever it is, and it should happen. But currently the BIS standards are a farce, because even those who supply BIS certified tanks, they only sell 1 or 2 tanks to the government with the right weight, and the rest are all half-weight tanks or whatever it is. So it's really not a cool standard. It's a very expensive process of getting a BIS registration. So I don't think we should be doing in the same way. We should have a standard. Let's say how ROMA has a standard, and people should be following that standard, because it's otherwise becomes very bureaucratic enough. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Okay, strategy. We can.
Strategy, next question, please. Hello.
Yes, Eddie, await your slide.
There is some technical glitch, I think. So.
Okay, you can just put the question on the voice and we can start working on it. So Eddie, you can just pick the question. It's okay. We can.
Strategy, you can speak directly. Hello, strategy.
Okay, till strategy comes, I think one of
Hello.
the point was the weight measures which we should discuss over here till strategy corrects his issue with the technical. What about the weights and measures standards adaptability in water tanks? Because the biggest challenge we face is a 500-liter tank, which absolutely is not a 500-liter tank commercially. It's 400, 425 or around 500 liters. So what the industry should take the right steps to ensure that the customers have got faith in the water tank industry.
Mukesh, I think that's a valid point you're making, because given the different width and height of the tank, it's very difficult for customers to judge. And the standard is very clear. I mean, of course, you say I'm not following BI, so it doesn't become applicable to you. But the level should be up to the overflow. But maybe we can decide something and then everybody should follow, because otherwise you're being charged per liter and the actual liters is something else. So you have raised a very good point.
I had an issue. Me as my company had an issue with weights and measures. They came to my factory. They picked up the tank and then they put up the water and they measured that the water was 5 liter less than it was what it was mentioned. So maybe wrong calculation on my part to do that, calculation of the tank. And from then on, what we have done, every tank we make, we ensure that we put the water in the meter and see that how much liter is stored, and then we put out in the market. So, but the customers at large, especially in the loft tank in Mumbai, what we face, a 500-liter tank is not even 400 liters, and customers have no way to calculate this, how much liter of tank they're getting. And competitive wise, oh, they are 20% cheaper than you, so their tanks are getting sold. So we as industry, what steps we should be taking to ensure that there's a fair game available to the molders? Strategy, is there technical issue with
Mukesh bhai, I have one point here. When you are selling this container in the market, roto-molded water tank, normally we are printing on it that it is a 500 liter or whatever. It is already printed on it. Okay, we are marketing like that. So basically, at the time of product designing, this part has to be ensured that all the products which are manufactured are 500 liter or at least overflow kind of stage. That is one thing. Second thing is standard itself also says that requirement of volume has to be fulfilled via standard. So these things are actually the part of the product designing.
No, what happens, Vivek bhai, I fully agree with you, is that some molders, to make their product cheaper and economical available in the commercial terms, they give 500 liters till the lid, till the top.
Right.
That is one. Second is they put 501 series. They don't print the literage on that tank. It's 501 series. So what do you understand? And
Right.
what the retailers tell, अभी हमको तो कंपनी ने बोले 501 सीरीज, अभी आप देख लो क्या है, इसका प्राइस इतना है. And 70% of this is bought by plumbers, not by customers. So it is the nexus of the plumbers and the retailers and the molders. And so when the customer is buying that tank, they're getting around 400, 425, 450 liters instead of 500 liters. So weights and measure is one of the body which is the right body to approach to ensure that all the tanks should be embossed with the literage on the tank, not the printing. It should be embossed. Once it is embossed, no manufacturer can tell that the dealer has done mischief or this person has done the mischief. Every tank has to be embossed in India. That rule should be brought forward, at least for the water storage tank industry.
That is okay. I think that is a very good point, and it should be standardized all across the roto-molded containers.
I want to add one point.
Continue.
We have to either gross capacity or net capacity, both has to be written. When it is open-ended, so people are playing. So either one should put gross capacity is this and net capacity is this. If you write 500 liter and if gross capacity is 500 liter and people are taking advantage of that. So every standard should give direction that it should be net capacity in liter, and net capacity rule is already defined. Or gross capacity, everyone should move to a gross capacity.
Yeah. But that industry has to come forward to the standard.
In every tank, it's a defined standard that from the top, this one particular inch down, that has to be inlet and outlet, and from center to center, this should be the capacity. That should be counted as the net capacity.
That's true. But we as tank manufacturers, we should define this in and put forward that this is how it is. The net capacity should be, and that is why I would suggest instead of this printing, it should be embossed. So once it is embossed, no manufacturer can tell that the dealer has played the mischief.
Yeah, that's also a good point.
Can we have next question?
Yeah. The next question, that is for the question has come from one of the company, that the use of recycle in middle layer, how much percentage and how to control the quality of the tank. So I think Mr. Vipul bhai, you can give on this thing answer. Yeah. Vipul bhai, you are there? Or any other panelists who want to give an answer on this question, that the use of recycle in middle layer and how much percentage and how to control quality. Sushil, you can give on this, emphasize on this question.
I would say the migration which Blaise has pointed out in the very beginning of the conversation, that the migration in the inside layer of the is very important, that rotomolder should have that knowledge that no order or that bad quality should migrate in the inner layer. And the use of recycle definitely is welcome in today's industry. But in the middle layer, ideally it should be your own material, or if you're buying from outside, ensure that the quality is good, because we have to remember we are supplying this to a water using industry of potable water, and any stupidity using of any kind of bad material which is going to give bad order is going to be a disaster for the industry at large. there's no definite rules in this. I think every molder has to understand that they need to check the quality of inside inner layer of the tank and make the right quality tank for the.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so now Vipul bhai is there? No, he's not
You
there.
can carry on.
Sushil ji,
Let's
can
move
you
on
give
because time is
reply
running
on
out.
this one, this question? Okay. So that is the thing. What is the UV 500 to 1000 liters on 5000 to this question.
So, Vijay, next slide.
Manoj bhai is there?
क्या सर सेठी जी बताइए
Next slide.
Can we move on?
Yeah, that's what. Any other points which the current panelists or any members would like to
Mukesh
bring
bhai,
forward?
Mukesh bhai, can we discuss this tank pet slide?
Bolo, sir.
Can we discuss this tank pet slide?
What is that?
Tank weight of tank.
Weight of the tank.
Weight of the tank.
Can we discuss this point?
Yeah, definitely. Why not?
Yeah, just a minute.
We had made that slide during the Elite Plus that what is the suggested weight of the tank which we plan to propose to BIS.
Yeah, that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, is it visible?
Yes.
Yeah.
This was proposed for BIS. New standards, right?
Okay.
Revised standards.
Yeah. So,
Yes, Mukesh bhai.
I think few were not there during this presentation or participation at the Elite Plus. Rajneesh bhai, is there on this? Chal bhai?
The voice is cracking. I'm not able to hear properly.
Yeah, Rajneesh bhai, if you can put the slide back.
The slide is not visible at this moment.
Manoj bhai, where's the slide?
Mukesh, first of all, we have to Zoom call. This go-to meeting is not proper.
Yeah,
It always takes
Sir,
problem.
Sethi ji is having the internet issue at his office, so that is the reason. This is a slide.
Okay, so now let's concentrate on this. The slide is available in front of us. Yeah. And it will be shared also with everyone for the suggestions As this, we are going ahead with suggestion with the BIS weight.
So, as rightly pointed out, that apart from the weight, there has to be a parameter linkage, because weight will depend on which polymer you use, which molding condition you adopt, and what is the design of the tank. So the weight depends on lot many parameters. Because if you see currently in the market, tanks are available in the market in a wide range of weight configurations. Reason is because whoever better designing the tank, better shape, maybe ribs, there are a lot many factors which contributes. But ultimately we need to think there are many other parameters also there. What is the flexural, elongation, ESCR, what kind of the parameter we want to link it. I think putting there could be a minimum thing we can put as a weight criteria or thickness criteria, but ultimately we have to link it to the parameters. This is my view.
This is a very good point, sir. That what we can do is that this is the base weight suggested to ensure that the tank will perform with this weight, and then depends upon the design. Those want no shoulders, ribs. That will depend thereon. All the molding conditions or polymer use. So how would we go ahead with this? Because this is now getting too long. We need to address it, BIS as an industry as a whole.
Mukesh, if I may come in, I think as we have said on a number of occasions, weight is the least of the consideration. Weight is a misguiding feature. I think there are enough other parameters. If those are met, the tank will do the job. By putting in such excess weights as you have on the tabulation, you are unnecessarily increasing the cost and increasing the cycle time and all the rest of it. So it may be that should be eliminated. But please take advice. Already Danu has talked about it. I think Blaze has talked about it. Others, Gary always talks about this, that the weight is the last thing to be looked at. It is unnecessary. Leave it to the molders. It is their job that the tank must perform and meet the other parameters. Thanks.
So what is the parameter, Rajneesh bhai or Vishal bhai, that you think that should be BIS amount of years of performance, or because BIS definitely is not going to take what we give. They need some assurance on the quality and performance.
I think this is not the right forum, because it will take too much time of the people. I think if all we need to discuss, then we have to have a special meeting on this, where everyone can, small panel can contribute and freeze on something.
Yeah. So let's have a separate meeting on this BIS. I agree with Rajneesh bhai. Vishal bhai, what do you say?
Okay. BIS के हिसाब से तो ये 14 kg भी नहीं होना चाहिए, मेरे हिसाब से तो 12 kg is sufficient. क्योंकि आज का जो पॉलीमर क्वालिटी है वो ध्यान में रख के जितना कम वजन कम पाएगा उतना एक्सेप्टेबिलिटी बढ़ेगी. कमर्शियल टैंक तो 10 kg में आ गया है, 9-10 kg में आ गया है.
Wow. So then let's have a special session only on BIS. I think let's all make our points, and because now time is running out. We've been talking for 2 years. We need to move ahead with this and at least put up a presentation to BIS to start with.
Okay, so that's a good suggestion. That we'll work on this BIS standard, and we'll take all the views from our all members.
Yeah. Just
so
on the ROMA side,
that is
their perspective.
Okay, so we'll move to our next question.
Okay.
That is what is the right way to check the product volume for net and gross weight? I think this question has come from Sushil ji. And in case triple layer, what should be the per layer percentage of middle layer in case of non-black tank? Second question is, what is the best rib design for cylindrical vertical tanks? And are boxes pocket necessary in cylindrical and vertical tanks? So I think from the design person is Satish ji, yeah, Danuji is there, they can give on this question emphasis here.
My say on this for the first question, what is the right way to check product volume? So according to me, the best and easiest way is to weight the tank. Like either you put it on a truck or trolley, you check the weight of trolley or truck on the weigh bridge. That is the easiest and fastest ways to check the weight, and most probably it is 99% accurate.
Vishal is talking about the volume of the water that to be stored inside the tank once it is molded. So,
Pardon?
yeah, I think the question is that the volume, say 1,000-liter tank, how to assure that this tank manufactured has got 1,000 liters in it stored before it is goes into the marketplace.
Before production.
Then after production, that the product should have at least 1,000-liter tank. It should have 1,000-liter water tank stored inside the tank. That's what they want. How to do assure.
1 liter of water is 1 kg of by weight.
Yeah.
Simple formula. If it is 1,000 liter, if it is the capacity is 1,000 kg, then the volume is 1,000 kg. 1,000 liters.
Designing the mold, if you're designing the mold, that is in a way that 1,000 liter, which I think the designing of the tank, which is more of a question over here.
Mukesh bhai, if we are talking about a measurement of volume after the tank is produced, so IS clearly defines that. For the net volume, you have to take the center point of inlet and outlet, and there are particular standards are already defined how to measure the net volume of any tank. And gross volume is the total you can put up to the lid. That is gross. But net volume is the actual volume is there.
I don't know what capacity of mold they have received from the mold maker. बोलता हूँ 1000 लीटर का टाकी चाहिए मोल्ड बना के दे दो. But when they get the tank and all that, it is definitely much different than a 1,000-liter tank. So that's the question, that how to assure that.
Mukesh, if we design the tank that way, then definitely the outcome will be this only. We have to design the tank with the proper FE analysis, and definitely there's a measurement is there, software is there. While at the drawing and design stage, the tank is measured. We issued that drawing and design to the mold maker. Then he has to follow that only. He is not going to design your product. Typically, company has to do a professional design, validated all parameter, and issue to the mold maker.
So I'll reply that basically once you design a proper tank and the mold design, there won't be a difference, not a difference of 50 ml also. That you have to consider the shrinkage of the material, you have to consider of the design of the tank, ribs, everything has to be designed properly.
Yes.
So there won't be any change in the volume basically. So perfectly. So not only the water tank, even the automotive tanks and other tanks, proper design has to be done. And before that, you have to select the proper material also.
Okay.
Which material are you going to use for this one? Yeah. Yeah. So I think that is the reply for that one. And the last question was that is there any pocket necessary in the vertical cylindrical tanks or not?
I think the pocket, the rectangular pocket which are there are the worst thing with edges on the any roto-molded part should not have any edges. It should be round, curved parts is the best thing for roto-molding.
Yeah, basically it is not necessary. Only in India that culture is there. That the culture is there that we have to follow the cylindrical, the rips are there. But in the foreign, Australia and other countries, they don't have the pockets and the rips on that is there.
Many manufacturers are going out from the square pockets or rectangular pockets and going for round. Many manufacturers now.
Good. Okay, the next question which we have received from one of the panelists, Mr. Vipul Rathod. So other panelists can reply on this thing. He has asked the question that in double layer tank, instead of black, can we use different color in the outer layer and white inside? I think it is already discussed. Is the center manhole perfect or can make side manhole tanks? And the third question from him is that in future years, should we make the ISA tank in triple layer? And he has asked one more question. How can any customer can compare between blow molding tanks and roto molding tanks? So we have got specialized of the blow and roto molding. I think Mr. Rajnish Gera, he can give reply on this.
I like to comment on the side manhole tank. Side manhole tank is I think we are the company who has introduced this side manhole tank. This has a lot many advantages instead of the center hole. Okay, there's nothing wrong or right. This is only the feature. We have come up with a side manhole tank, seeing its advantages, and I think we are the, I don't know, as for me, we are the first company who has launched this tank, side manhole tank, because we can see, you can peep in without need to go up on the tank. You can, from side you can see the tank fully, and then cleaning advantages are there, and these are the features which we see inside manhole tank. So there's nothing wrong or right. Only thing is how the public or the customer accepts it, and we can only highlight the features of that particular design. That's the point which I want to convey on side manhole tank. There are good features attached to the
side manhole. Rajnish, I agree with you. Side manhole is much better than center, because people go on the top of the tank, stand on it. Here it is on side. With the ladder on a big tank or small tank, just go on the side and have a look in the tank. It is much better than having a center hole.
So because of these features and this flexibilities, we have launched this side manhole tank in the market.
Yeah. Okay. It's more practical to have side manhole other than the center.
And the next question is what is the comparison with the blow molding and the roto molding tanks? Yeah.
Sir, I think everyone, at least in here, knows that roto molding tanks are more sturdier and more rugged. It's a stress-free molding, whereas in blow molding happens under stress, under pressure, so which can lead to a crack over a life, maybe little lesser, though blow molding has yet not completed its full life cycle. So, but roto molding, we know that tank which we have supplied, still one tank which we have made in 1980 is still running. That's what we can claim the life of the tank. So blow molding, that's why from last, if you see 1 year or 2 years, the roto molding is again being preferred over the blow molding because of its
trouble-free. The first time you made in 1991.
So definitely,
that's not
being a roto molders, we should promote the roto molding tank in the market.
It's not that every product is See, there are blow molders, roto molders is a market to decide eventually. But yes, agree, roto molder is much better for this product application. Maybe for smaller tanks, maybe blow molding is okay for road contractors who don't want tank for 30 years. They want, tank for 2 years, 3 years. Fair enough. That's the market dynamics which will decide the product.
So,
Can I put mail? Hello?
Yeah.
Can I put one point here?
Yeah,
Sure.
please.
Yeah.
Yes,
From my side, I would like to mention here that for particularly blow molding application, selection of the right raw material is also very important, because there is no any dedicated grade, what I believe, which you can tell that it is a blow molding tank for the blow molding grade for the water tank application. So people are using different grade based on the availability, based on the pricing. But technically, the best suitable grade also very important for the blow molding application. Otherwise, if you take any normal grade, which is mainly meant for the 20 liter or 50 liter application, and same grade you want to use for the 1000 liter blow molded water tank, so it will not be suitable, and then you will face a lot of problems. The product will be formulated, but the long-term suitability of the product will be a question.
विशाल भाई
विशाल भाई ज्यादा बेटर बताएंगे इसके बारे में।
हाँ वही बोलता हूँ।
नहीं, देखिए मैं एक बोलना चाहूंगा कि आप लोग रोटो मोल्डर है ज्यादातर, मैं रोटो मोल्डर भी हूँ, ब्लो मोल्डर भी हूँ, पर मेरा एक बेटा अच्छा है इसमें दूसरा बेटा खराब है, ऐसा नहीं है। ब्लो मोल्डिंग इज वेरी गुड और आई एम ग्रोइंग मोर इन ब्लो मोल्डिंग देन रोटो मोल्डिंग, दोनों चीज है मेरे पास। लेकिन ये जो परसेप्शन आप लोगों ने बना रखा है रोटो मोल्डर्स ने इन जनरल कि ब्लो मोल्डिंग खराब है, वो गलत है। कुछ डिजाइन फॉल्ट 99% ब्लो मोल्डर्स ने करेक्ट कर चुके हैं, और अपना ये सोचना है कि ब्लो मोल्डिंग खराब है, वो टोटली रॉन्ग है। टैंक की लाइफ, सुशील भाई आपको भी मैं बोलता हूँ, जितनी आप रोटो की एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हो उतनी या उससे ज्यादा आप नथिंग लाइक कि रोटो की टैंक ज्यादा अच्छी। That's my perception.
But what is the life?
10 साल से तो हम लोग बेच रहे हैं, हमारी टंकी का रिप्लेसमेंट बहुत ही कम है, नेग्लिजिबल है आप बोल सकते हैं।
रतीश भाई ने बताया ना लाइफ साइकिल, जैसे उनका 1980 या we both started almost the same time in 1991 की टंकी अपनी लगी हुई है, that's not a criteria, but what is the lifespan that you think of a good quality blow molding?
रोटो मोल्डिंग में भी किए थे, उसमें हमको ऑलमोस्ट 99% वापस आई जो हमने रॉन्ग डिजाइन किए थे रोटो मोल्डिंग में। तो शायद हमने कुछ गलतियां रोटो मोल्डिंग में करी थी तो हमने ब्लो मोल्डिंग में करी। कुछ लोगों ने शायद पहली गलती ही ब्लो मोल्डिंग में करी, इसलिए उन लोग को ज्यादा ब्लो मोल्डिंग का।
There are challenges of ESCR in the material itself of blow molding without the ESCR issue because our tanks are going to be up in the sky all the time. ESCR को लेके आपका क्या view है on the blow molding material? Any improvement on that?
मटेरियल इम्प्रूवमेंट तो आते रहेंगे, बाकी टेक्नोलॉजी वाइज या आप बोलेंगे ESCR वगैरह का कोई प्रॉब्लम ब्लो मोल्डिंग में नहीं है। नो स्ट्रेस एज नथिंग, जो अपन बोल रहे हैं वो सब का कोई सिग्निफिकेंस ही नहीं है।
Okay. Fair enough. That's what the market dynamics will take the thing. The customer is looking at large. They will understand what is good for them in time to come. And blow mold is definitely improving their quality. One of them before 10 years. Today definitely things are different.
हमारे पास एज अ कंसल्टेंट, तो उसी ने बताया था कि अगर आप इम्प्रूव नहीं करोगे तो ग्लो मोल्डिंग आपको खा जाएगा। तो हमने सोचा हमने कौन सा रोटो मोल्डिंग से शादी की है, ग्लो मोल्डिंग में भी आ जाओ।
End of that is a business.
So Gary was the instrumental person to because he was threatening us for कि improve करो नहीं तो रोटो मोल्डिंग खत्म हो जाएगा, ब्लो मोल्डिंग will eat रोटो मोल्डिंग market.
The same is in automotive. If you look at the fuel tank, the way Indian fuel market is there for the fuel tank in roto molding, there is a technical blow molding already available in Western Europe, and the moment the volume is large, blow molding fuel tank will definitely put inroads into roto molded fuel tanks for heavy vehicles.
अगला क्वेश्चन
Slide, Srini जी slide लगा।
हाँ, सुरेश जी है आप लाइन पे? हाँ, तो सुरेश जी निराल फ्रॉम इंदौर ने उन्होंने क्वेश्चन भेजा है, यदि काली टंकियां सफेद से बेहतर है तो इसके लिए रोमा की ग्राहक जागरूकता पर क्या प्लानिंग है? प्रिंट मीडिया व इलेक्ट्रॉनिक मीडिया का उपयोग कर काली व रोटो की टंकियां ब्लो से बेहतर है, इस और ग्राहक का ध्यान ऐसी कुछ प्लानिंग हो जानी चाहिए। छोटी फैक्ट्री जो टंकियां बन रही उनके लिए विदेशी वक्ताओं से ज्यादा इंडियन वक्ताओं की जरूरत है। तो इस तरह का क्वेश्चन आया है। तो ये क्वेश्चन फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन हमारा रोमा के लिए आया है। तो हम रोमा वाले मैनेजिंग कमेटी हमको बताना पड़ेगा उनको कि हमारा क्या प्लानिंग है मीडिया और इलेक्ट्रॉनिक मीडिया में। मुकेश भाई क्या आप इस पे जवाब देंगे?
सर, एसोसिएशन का जिम्मेदारी होता है एजुकेट करना मोल्डर्स को, सप्लायर्स को फॉर द राइट क्वालिटी। मीडिया और जनता के पास जाने के लिए एसोसिएशन का काम नहीं होता ज्यादातर, वो मोल्डर्स लोग जाते हैं अपने आप। अभी जैसे विशाल जी ने बताया कि ब्लो मोल्डिंग की भी टाकियां भी अच्छी बनती है, या काली या सफेद, एवरीथिंग इज परसेप्शन ऑफ द रोटो मोल्डर। रोटो मोल्डर का क्या परसेप्शन है और मार्केट का क्या परसेप्शन है। कई इंजीनियर्स आज की तारीख में बोलते नहीं हमको काला टंकी चाहिए, हमको सफेद नहीं चाहिए, तो उनको काला देना पड़ेगा आपको। तो देयर इनटू 1.2 बिलियन पॉपुलेशन, हर एक के चॉइस अलग है, आर्किटेक्ट के चॉइस अलग है, केमिकल इंजीनियर के चॉइस अलग है, कस्टमर्स के चॉइस अलग है। तो एसोसिएशन का जिम्मेदारी यही रहता है टू एजुकेट हिज कस्टमर्स टू मेक द राइट क्वालिटी टैंक, एंड देन इट इज अप टू देम। जब मैं सिंगल लेयर का बोला, डबल लेयर ट्रिपल लेयर, आपका कॉस्ट इकोनॉमिक्स क्या है उसके ऊपर पूरा आधार रहेगा सर।
हाँ, पर एजुकेट करने में रोमा डेफिनेटली इसके इम्पोर्टेंट है कि रोटो मोल्डिंग को ही प्रमोट करेगी एज ए रोटो मोल्डिंग एसोसिएशन। इसके लिए डेफिनेटली हम काम करेंगे।
ऐसे ही रोमा काम करती रहेगी, अपना अपने जो है वेबसाइट पे कुछ डालते रहेगी, व्हाट इज द राइट वे, राइट थिंग, वो डालते रहेंगे। बट वी कैन नॉट गो टू द प्रेस और मीडिया और एनी विच वे एज एसोसिएशन, वो हम अलाउड नहीं करना।
ओके
मुकेश भाई, केवल मैन्युफैक्चरर करने से काम नहीं चलेगा ना, कस्टमर को भी तो पता लगना चाहिए कि रोटो इज बेटर।
कस्टमर को एसोसिएशन, आप देखो ऑल इंडिया प्लास्टिक है या प्लास्ट इंडिया, ये कभी कस्टमर के पास नहीं जाते। वो लोग अपना शो करेंगे, अपने वेबसाइट पे डालेंगे। दैट इज द ओनली थिंग एसोसिएशन कैन डू। एसोसिएशन कस्टमर के पास वो मैन्युफैक्चर जाता है, एसोसिएशन कभी कस्टमर के पास नहीं जाता है सर।
लेकिन सर अपन रोमा के लेटर पैड पे बीआईएस को एक चिट्ठी तो लिख सकते हैं कि भाई आप हमें ये बताइए कि ब्लो मोल्डिंग पे आईएसआई है या नहीं, तो वो लिख के देंगे आपको नहीं है। उसके अलावा ये लिख के देंगे,
उसमें आपको रोमा की जरूरत नहीं है, वो बीआईएस की वेबसाइट पे जाएंगे,
मेंबर्स को सर्कुलेट कर देंगे तो वो पब्लिक को वो अपने अपने डीलर्स को तो भेज सकते हैं कि भाई रोटो मोल्डिंग पे आईएसआई।
ये बहुत अच्छा क्वेश्चन है। एनीवन जो गवर्नमेंट के खिलाफ जाता है, दैट बिकम्स कंटेम्प्ट इन द कोर्ट। क्या आप किसी कस्टमर को गुमराह नहीं कर सकते हो कि हमारे ताकि बीआईएस अप्रूव्ड है, ओके, ये कंटेम्प्ट हो जाता है, एंड देयर इज अ नॉन बेलेबल ऑफेंस फॉर योर इंफॉर्मेशन सर इन इंडिया। एनीवन ट्राइंग टू इंपोज अ बीआईएस टैंक व्हिच इज नॉट बीआईएस टैंक इज अ नॉन बेलेबल ऑफेंस, प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड।
सर मेरा कहना यह है कि अपन बीआईएस को ये चिट्ठी तो लिख सकते हैं ना कि भाई ब्लो मोल्डिंग पे आप आईएसआई देते हैं या नहीं, तो वो लिख के देंगे नहीं देते हैं। उसके अलावा टंकियों पे आई सर।
सर ब्लो मोल्डिंग वाले ने भी अप्रोच किया है BIS को, मेरे नॉलेज के हिसाब से। विशाल भाई है यहाँ पर।
3 साल पहले अभी तो ब्लो मोल्डिंग वाले सब विशाल जी के अलावा।
मेरी बात सुनिए सर कि BIS वाले ने भी रिसीव किया है ब्लो मोल्डिंग वाले का एप्लीकेशन कि हमको ब्लो मोल्डर्स को भी BIS का सर्टिफिकेशन चाहिए। वो बातचीत चालू है। देखो, हम किसी प्रोसेस को मना नहीं कर सकते ये प्रोसेस अच्छा है वो प्रोसेस अच्छा है। वो प्रोसेस BIS उनका सर्टिफिकेशन, उनका क्वालिफिकेशन, उसके ऊपर आधार रखेगा सर। रोटो मोल्डिंग ने कोई मोनोपोली नहीं ले रखी कि टंकी से रोटो मोल्डिंग बनेगी BIS के लिए। बन सकती है रोटो ब्लो मोल्डिंग में भी BIS के हिसाब से। और BIS के ऊपर आधार, अपना ब्लो मोल्डर्स के ऊपर आधार वो लोग कैसे प्रेजेंटेशन करते हैं, और रोटो मोल्डर्स के ऊपर आधार तुम्हारा प्रेजेंटेशन कैसे करते हो। हम रोटो मोल्डर्स किसी अदर प्रोसेस के खिलाफ नहीं जा सकते सर। वी आर नॉट अलाउड एंड व्हाई शुड वी डू। ब्लो मोल्डर्स है, रोटो मोल्डर्स दोनों मिक्स भी है सर। हमारे पैनल में ही कितने लोग हैं, विशाल भाई है, रजनीश भाई है, सुशील जी है, ये सब रोटो मोल्डर्स भी है, ब्लो मोल्डर्स भी है सर। तो एसोसिएशन का काम है, सिर्फ BIS को जा सकते हैं कि भाई ये हमारा स्टैंडर्ड है, हमको ये करना है। कल उनके अपने एसोसिएशन में 50, 60, 80 लोग आ जाए ब्लो मोल्डर्स है, उनकी भी रहेगी ख्वाहिश कि भाई हमको भी करना है BIS, तो करना पड़ेगा। संविधान सबके लिए ओपन है भैया।
तो मेरा प्रश्न यह है कि रोमा अपने रोटो मोल्डिंग को प्रमोट करने के लिए ग्राहकों के लिए क्या कर रही है?
ग्राहक के लिए अगेन आई टेल यू सर, मैं वापस रिप्लाई कर रहा हूँ, लास्ट फाइनल रिप्लाई रहेगा मेरा। ग्राहक के लिए एसोसिएशन कुछ नहीं कर सकता है। एसोसिएशन करता है अपने मेंबर्स के लिए, मेंबर्स जाके ग्राहक के लिए करता है सर। ये वर्ल्ड वाइड है, पूरे इंडिया में, वर्ल्ड वाइड में एसोसिएशन सिर्फ अपने मेंबर्स के लिए करता है, ग्राहक के लिए मैन्युफैक्चरर्स करता है काम। करेंगे रिलायंस के लिए करेंगे, वो सब मिलके वो नहीं कर सकते ना सर। हाँ, हमारा वेबसाइट में लिखेंगे कि भाई टंकी का कौन सा अच्छा है क्या, वो लिख सकते हैं, उससे ज्यादा नहीं कर सकते।
नहीं सूरज, मैं आपका क्वेश्चन का जवाब देता हूँ। बेसिकली अपना जो न्यू एप्लीकेशन जो है रोटो मोल्डिंग के लिए, जो नए एप्लीकेशन, डेफिनेटली उसके प्रमोशन करने में एसोसिएशन बहुत हेल्प करेगा कि न्यू एप्लीकेशन कैसे किया जा सकता है, न्यू प्रोडक्ट कैसे बनाए जा सकते हैं, टेक्निकलिटी क्या है, उसके ऊपर जो भी आपका रिक्वायरमेंट है उसमें डेफिनेटली एसोसिएशन हेल्प करेगा। अवेयरनेस करना है उसमें भी एसोसिएशन हेल्प करेगा कि कैसे आपको प्रमोट करना, वो आपका काम हो गया। पर टेक्निकलिटी, उसके एप्लीकेशन से यूटिलिटी है, न्यू मोल्डिंग, FRP स्टील से कन्वर्जन करना है, इन सब चीजों पे एसोसिएशन डेफिनेटली आपको हेल्प करेगा।
सर SMC भी BIS अप्रूव्ड है टैंक, SMC टैंक भी अवेलेबल है। अभी आप पैलेट का एग्जांपल ले लो, रोटो मोल्डिंग में बनती है, इंजेक्शन मोल्डिंग में बनती है, ब्लो मोल्डिंग में बनती है, थर्मोफॉर्मिंग से बनती है, तो 4 प्रोसेस से बनती है सर पैलेट्स। तो किसको मना करेंगे गवर्नमेंट, हर एक अपनी तरफ से सही है अपना परफॉर्मेंस लेके।
नहीं सुशील
बोल रहा हूँ, मेरा केवल पर्पज ये है कि अपने रोमा बनाइए रोटो मोल्डिंग के लिए, तो रोटो मोल्डिंग में प्रमोट करने के लिए अपना क्या प्लानिंग है, मैं केवल वो पूछ रहा हूँ।
वही कर रहे हैं ना सर। देखो अभी BIS में जा रहे हैं हम लोग, हमारे रोटो मोल्डिंग का ये चेंजेस लेके, जो आज हमने इतना सारा डिस्कशन किया, वेट्स एंड मेजर्स का डिस्कशन किया, वो सब कर रहे हैं सर। तो हमारे संविधान में जो है वो हम लोग कर रहे हैं। अभी पैलेट वाले आगे आएंगे तो उनको अगर करना है पैलेट के लिए रोटो मोल्डिंग का काम, तो एसोसिएशन डेफिनेटली हेल्प करेगी कि भाई चलो पैलेट का भी कैसे स्टैंडर्ड्स कहते हैं, रोटो मोल्डिंग में वी विल हेल्प। बट हम दूसरे प्रोसेस के खिलाफ नहीं जा सकते, हम रोटो मोल्डिंग को प्रमोट कर सकते हैं।
वैसे ही वही बोले,
मैं भी तो वही पूछ रहा हूँ कि रोटो मोल्डिंग प्रमोशन के लिए अपनी क्या प्लानिंग है, वो पूछ रहा हूँ।
वो आज का ये जो है वो प्रमोशन ही है ना सर, टू आवर मेंबर्स, हमारे मेंबर्स के लिए। और हमारी वेबसाइट पे रहेगा ये सब, ये कस्टमर्स के ऊपर है, वेबसाइट पे आना नहीं आना उनके ऊपर आधार है। जैसे BIS क्या है, अभी आप किसी को बोले BIS टैग किया, उससे ले लिया, उसकी फर्ज होती है BIS में जाके चेक करने की भाई है कि नहीं है।
ओके, आई थिंक next question, that one question has come, that what is the role of pillar, can we avoid pillars because pillars are weak points?
पिलर मतलब वो ऊपर टंकी के ऊपर का जो स्क्वायर पार्ट वाला बोल रहे हो.
Correct.
See, that's again we told that ये old design है sir. New roto molding में ये पिलर का काम ही नहीं है. It should be round. Wherever it is there, उसको आप rounding कर दो या उसको आप निकाल के उतना पोर्शन को कट करके वापस reshape करके कर दो. Square, rectangular, sharp points are definitely no in roto molding. That's what I've learned in so many years of the industry. It eat away a lot of material. ऊपर से उसका कोई रोल नहीं है.
Okay. So next question. That is what is the new market potential water tank for institutional sellings? So water tank का तो रजनीश ने बताया ही था. Now he can give more emphasis on that because they are more in the institutional. And विशाल जी भी है institutional sales में, तो definitely they can give this reply.
वो तो पूरा के पास है institutional sales.
Rajneesh bhai.
Yes, there are products which are for the institutions. There are private industry related products. There are different segment, maybe condensate storage is there, chemical storage is there. It depends what you produce. If you can produce as per the requirement of that particular segment, so definitely you can sell, and there's a market for that. If you see earlier, even all industry was using the metal tanks or the underground tanks for their normal uses. But now if you can develop product considering their requirement, maybe chemical requirement, maybe temperature requirement of the process, then you can definitely supply those products into the institutions. And
Okay.
other government schemes, tenders are there. If your product fulfill their specification and you can participate on that tenders, that is a good potential market.
अच्छा सर. So there is a good scope for the institute sales and the water tanks also. And you are in the beginning you told that there is a good market for the rainwater harvesting tanks also, apart from the water tank. So that again.
Mr. Shetty, may I make a point?
Yeah,
Mr. Shetty, may I make a point?
Yes, Ajit.
When you look at institutional markets, what comes to mind for me is that there must be at least maybe 8 to 10 million schools alone in India and other educational institutions. Apart from that, there are so many other institutions. Now, as we see the future, there is going to be more and more scarcity of water. There'll be need for higher and higher capacity of tanks or water storage. So in that sense, more thinking needs to be done by all the entrepreneurs. Instead of chasing somebody else who has already sold to a particular market, open up these markets. They are all waiting for entrepreneurs to go there, sell to them, right? So the markets are really vast. We need to see more than what others have seen. And so when I talked about rainwater harvesting, it is the same. People keep talking about there is an acute shortage of water. The water that is piped is not always available when you want. It is supplied on certain days and so on. Everywhere in the world, the problems are the same, right? So I am urging all the colleagues in the industry, look for these markets. They are all there. Don't be driven only by sales in the distribution channel that we are used to. Open up these new markets. Thank you.
Thank you, Chandu. Now, next question. What are the common tests performed after 24 hours on molded water tanks? Sushilji, you
These
can.
are listed in BIS. People can, that's the best thing.
This is the open market tanks, basically.
There should be no smell, and you should check the periphery of the tank that what is specified in the catalog is the shape of the tank as per that. Nothing more than that, I think so. The best test is when you supply that tank, what most people do is that you fill in water in 24 hours. You look at the shape of the tank, what is the, फूक जाता है टाकी कितना फूकता है. After 24 hours of storage of water, there's nothing more than that a test can do in time to come, unless it is not installed in the right way. But at the factory, there's nothing much of a sort to my knowledge, unless someone else wants to speak about it.
The next question, that is, we already covered this matter. This question, 1 second. How you seeing the foam water tank market in India? This is the question for all the now.
Bhushan bhai hai line pe?
No, he's not there.
Okay.
Rajesh bhai.
Sir, foam
Vishal
gives
bhai.
certain advantages, but practically foam was used to convey that it is insulation, giving insulation property. But unfortunately, whatever tanks test we have performed, which is the polymer we are using foam in the polymer, the insulation properties are not getting achieved. So if you have to really insulate the tank, you have to apply other puff methods. Puffing can provide a good insulation, but foam is not giving adequate insulation, though it improves certain mechanical properties. So basically now
So you're saying, Rajesh bhai, that
market mein
is it a PE foam, PU foam difference?
Yeah. P जो foam hai, that is not giving the insulation property, though in market the tanks are being sold on the name that foam is there and it is providing an insulation property and it keeps the tank cooler.
I think Dr. Majan is also there. He can also give this emphasize on this thing. PE forming is better or PU forming is better? Is there Dr. Majan? Is still there?
Yes. See, the PP foaming is a bit difficult because of the low melt strength in the polypropylene.
Sir, EP form or expanded polyethylene form, sir. EP. This is foam tank, sir. Polyethylene foam tank. Dr. Saab? Hello.
Rajesh bhai, what is your intake in
Hello.
this PE? How thick the foam have you done that is not giving the yield which the foam suppliers are claiming that there's a difference of 10 degree in the temperature of a foam tank of PE foam tank.
2 मिनट आप होल्ड करो.
हाँ जी, yeah.
Here, Bhushan ji.
अच्छा, Bhushan bhai, he can also give the reply on this question.
ये क्वेश्चन है फॉर्म टैंक मार्केट कैसा आगे कैसा रहने वाला है, थोड़ा इस पे आप अपना प्रकाश डालेंगे?
वो मार्केट तो अभी गर्मी की वजह से बहुत अच्छा बढ़ रहा है, क्योंकि उससे इंसुलेशन अच्छा मिलता है। अभी ऑलमोस्ट इंडस्ट्री में फोम टैंक चालू हो गया है, तो उसको ग्रोइंग बहुत हाई रहेगा। यानी ऑलमोस्ट अभी ट्रिपल लेयर डबल यानी जो नॉन फोम टैंक का मार्केट प्रोडक्शन है वो तो ऑलमोस्ट अभी बहुत ही कम है। कम से कम ये साल 30% फोम टैंक का मार्केट और बढ़ जाएगा कंपेयर टू लास्ट ईयर।
सर कितने डिग्री रिकमेंड करते हैं आप फोम के साथ इंसुलेशन टेम्परेचर?
10
डिग्री का मिलेगा?
8 से 10 डिग्री आप यानी आउटडोर टेम्परेचर और पानी का टेम्परेचर, उसके अंदर आपको 8 से 10 डिग्री का डिफरेंस मिलेगा, यदि आप बेटर टैंक बनाते हैं तो।
सर
कितना फोम का?
सर अगर कोई if anyone can demonstrate तो गुड।
इफ यदि हम टैंक का थिकनेस फोम लेयर का 8 to 10 mm मेंटेन करते हैं तो हमें
15 mm के ऊपर भी अगर 10 डिग्री का टेम्परेचर मिलेगा,
इतना थिकनेस मिलता है आपको, डेफिनेटली आपको इंसुलेशन मिल जाता है 10 डिग्री का।
रेफ्रिजरेशन, वी आर नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट रेफ्रिजरेशन, 10 डिग्री इज टू मच। आप एक बार डेमोन्स्ट्रेट करके देख लीजिए, डेमोन्स्ट्रेट करके देखिए मार्केट के अंदर, नेम एनी टैंक एंड वी कैन यू कैन पुट इवन मे बी इनसाइड कोल्ड वाटर एंड इनसाइड हॉट वाटर और आउटसाइड हॉट वाटर के अंदर में डिप करके देख लीजिए एंड सी द व्हाटएवर द कंडीशन ऑफ द वाटर इनसाइड आफ्टर 5 आवर, आफ्टर 6 आवर, आफ्टर 8 आवर्स।
सर ऑलरेडी ये मैं टेस्ट कर चुका हूँ, हमारे आउटडोर टेम्परेचर 45 डिग्रीज में मैंने पानी का टैंक भर के उसको टेस्ट कर चुका हूँ, और साथ में उल्टा भी किया कि टंकी के अंदर बॉइल वाटर रख के कोल्ड एनवायरनमेंट में उसका टेम्परेचर कितना डाउन होता है वो भी मैं स्टडी कर चुका हूँ।
चलो सर, my request to all the participants to do this testing, controlled testing in house, and probably the answer will be there on that. Though it's my personal view, I'm not.
हाँ डेफिनेटली, अगर भूषण जी बोलते तो यू कैन give different trials to the manufacturer, and if it is a difference of 8 to 10 mm, 8 to 10 degree, it is a very useful thing. Yeah.
The practical way for this is when you install the tank जो आपके पास है, एक बाहर का टेम्परेचर का आप मेजर करो और पानी के अंदर डीप किया हुआ टेम्परेचर का आप पैरेलल फोटो निकाल के दे सकते हो कि what is the difference. That should thing, because that's what I'm hearing, Rajesh bhai, from these compound suppliers of foam like Bhushan bhai and others, that there's a 7 to 10 degrees temperature difference if you use the foam of this 10 mm also. And this myth is a myth of reality, because again we are going again to a market with a new product, with a new challenge, and again we don't want to go to a market with a wrong concept. So the concept has to be really right before the market opens up to this new challenge of foam tank.
Good. The next question. How to improve productivity in water tank without compromise on quality? How to improve productivity in water tank without compromise?
Single layer. A good quality polymer. Single layer is the best way to make the best quality tank and fastest way.
I will add on to think the good mold is also required and good machine is also required for productivity.
Heating, cooling, everything has to be good. That's the best way, only way.
Yeah. Thank you. Next question. For large size tank, what is the good machine? Open flame or box oven machine? The Nuba is there.
Depends upon the quantity of tanks you're going to make of the big tanks, because definitely closed ovens or carousel machines are going to be really expensive compared to the open flame machinery. So if you're able to make good quantity of tanks, invest, it's pretty good. I think many people are making 20,000, 25,000 liter tank in 3-arm carousel. selling price would be around 2.5 to 3 crores of a machinery, whereas open flame of a rock and roll will be much cheaper. So it depends upon the quantity of tanks you're going to make on commercial return on investment.
Mr. Chetty, may I add?
Yeah, sure.
We make up to 24,000 liter in oven machines, rock and roll. Obviously, Reinhardt, of course, is a very good machine. And the alternative is obviously a rock and roll oven. It's cheaper, and for tanks, I think it works very well. And Bahadur, who is also in on the session, he has been working with his machines for probably about 10, 12 years, at least the oven machines, rock and roll.
Basic. Yeah.
And we have found no problems at all.
Good. The box machine is back at
Chandubai 20,000. Shetty, we are making 20,000 liter tank from last 30 years in open flame, and we are comfortable. Definitely the weight, if you want to reduce, definitely the carousel machines are much better. But then, as I tell, depends upon your investment capacity and utilization of the machinery of the closed staff.
Mukesh, you are burning your money away.
That's what. That's what.
Next question.
That's what I told them, because you invest in a good machinery and you save the resin or investment.
Over. So I think most of the questions we have covered, and it was really a very interactive session for the water tank manufacturer. Almost, I just got a message that almost more than 75 to 80 participants are present in this meeting and taking advantage of our all experts' opinion for the water tank. So definitely, I'll thank you to all the panelists who are present in this thing, and it's our special invitee, Dr. Sunil Mahajan, Mr. Manoj Patria, Mr. Manish Khandelwal, and Mr. Vivek Mehta, who has given their valuable time to attend this thing. And almost, I think, we have covered 2.5 hours non-stop meeting this time. With everyone has associated in and taken interest in the water tank interaction session. So I thank all the panelists again and our FGC board members and invitee for attending this webinar. On special thanks to all our members, because this time this is the exclusive meeting we have arranged for the only ROMA members. So no non-members are not available in this meeting, and purely we want to give the benefit to all ROMA members to this session. Again, thanks to all.
Shetty, I would like to add over here.
Yeah.
To the resin suppliers, Reliance, GAIL and ONGC, please enroll your membership. We have been requesting since long, and support of the resin suppliers association can work. So, sir, we have been requesting last years, and it's high time that all 3 resin suppliers to enroll your membership, please. There's a best
definitely. Yeah, I request all the resin manufacturers that they should support to promote this automotive industry in India. And I also request now Rajneesh ji also that they should support and give their blessing to our ROMA. I think he's promised that after April he will definitely become the member of our team. So
Thank you. We'll discuss your later, sir.
Yeah. So thanks to all, and that's the same type of webinar we are again arranging on next 24th April, and it will be the interactive session for the custom molding molds and machinery, and all the leading industry experts will be present in the panel to give your answers. So
Shetty,
Haji, sure.
Can you have one more webinar only for BIS? As Rajneesh Bhai told, we require a special session only for BIS.
Yeah, definitely that we are going to organize the BIS session. But all the feedbacks will come from all the manufacturers. Exclusively one seminar we'll have for the BIS only. Yeah, definitely. Good suggestion.
Mukesh bhai, I will request this BIS session on May month.
Ajay?
I will request BIS session on May month.
In the month of May. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. After this custom molding session,
Mukesh.
we'll have the BIS. By that time, we'll get all the feedback
Mukesh,
from all the roto molding manufacturers.
Chandu bhai.
Mukesh, I have a special request. I am urging you and Mr. Shetty to definitely take help of Gary, because in making the representations, he has a lot of experience of dealing with the South African body for standards, and he will certainly assist, so that please think in terms of not weight, but meeting the critical criteria for performance of the tank. The tank's performance will be met with different weights by using different materials, because each material has its own peculiarities or characteristics. So please keep that in mind. And if you take his help,
yeah, definitely.
I think he'll certainly will help.
What you can do is just form a committee of 4, 5, 7 people who are interested, including Gary and Chandu bhai. And
Not so much me. No, I have very little knowledge, but at least Gary will be of tremendous help to you, definitely.
We can have a committee where we can start brainstorming on this, and then we can start with the larger later.
Fine.
No, definitely, we'll take all the international this thing consultant before going for the BIS. We'll take the technical consultancy from from the Australia, then the African and other people.
Yes.
And then we'll prepare for BIS committee as per the Indian standards, basically.
And I urge you also to contact, because I am not now in touch with the Australians, but the Australians will also be able to assist, guide you on this particular aspect, because they also have a very well developed tank market. Thank you.
Correct. Thank you. Thank you, Chandu bhai, for attending this seminar for on our request and giving your valuable time to help us. Yeah. So thanks to all, and wishing you a happy Holi in advance to all. Yeah. Thank you.
Everyone.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Yeah. Bye. Thank you.
Happy Holi to you all, sir.
Thank you to all. Yeah.